Hello everyone, welcome back. And this is the last part of the concept terms and definitions. Now let's discuss about the elements of a definition. There are two parts, definiens and definiendum. Okay, let's start with definiens. Definiens is a word or phrase that explains or describes the defining property of the definiendum. It has two parts, namely proximate genus and specific differentia. So let's discuss this more thoroughly. Okay. First one is proximate genus. This is the nearest general class to which a thing belongs. Like for example, a bird is an animal with feathers such as chicken, owl, and ostrich. So animal here is the proximate genus. No, it will classify it more generally kung saan nakabilong yung bird. Okay, ganon. So it will classify it because we cannot remove or it's hard to figure out ano ba yung bird dito pag tinanggal natin siya sa definition. So a bird is an animal with feathers such as chicken, owl, and ostrich. So it is difficult if we can say a bird with feathers such as chicken, owl, and ostrich. So proximate genus will really specify it more and make it, mas madali siyang maklasify talaga. Ganon. Next one is specific differentia. Okay, this refers to the essential characteristics that differentiates a thing from the rest of the group. So, from the word itself, it differentiates the thing from the rest of the group. An example here, a bird is an animal with feathers such as chicken, owl, and ostrich. In this definition, there is feathers, diba? So this is the specific differential because not all animals have feathers. Hence, it will classify it more deeper and more specifically if lalagyan ng feathers yung definition. Just to make a good definition of a bird. Clear? Okay, next one. Denotata naman. Okay, the third element provides a concrete example of the extension of the definiendum. So in the same example, a bird is an animal with feathers such as chicken, owl, and ostrich. So it gives examples. Now to make it more clear, to make a good definition, we include examples of it para mas maintindihan ng tao. So a bird is an animal with feathers such as chicken, owl, and ostrich. So chicken, owl, and ostrich are the denotata. So ito yung mga examples ng extension ng definiendum. Again, there are three elements. Definiens, okay, denotata, and definiendum. Alright, let's go to the next part. Kinds of definition. We have different kinds of definition. Nominal definition, a definition which speaks about a term but not declaring anything about it. This is done by considering the origin of the term, by describing the term, by giving the synonym of the term, or by citing an example that will represent the term. Alright. The classification of nominal definition are, first one, nominal definition by etymology. This is attained by tracing the origin of the term. Okay, like for example, fraternity came from frater, which means brother. Alright, so you're considering the meaning or of the origin of the term, di ba? Kaya yung may mga word na mga Latin word of psychology from the psych, which means the mind, no? That is the nominal definition by etymology. So we're trying to trace back saan galing yung word na yun, bakit nabuo siya. Okay, like for another example is pulchritude, no? It comes from the Latin word pulcher, which means love, I think, yeah. So that is an example. So you're trying to trace back from its Latin word or Greek word, no? Saan galing yung word na yun for you to understand it more deeper. Nominal definition by description attained by describing the term. So by this means, no, you're trying to describe the term. A rose is a flower. Okay, it's very basic and mas madaling maintindihan din. Next is Nominal definition also speaks about a term but not declaring anything about it. This is done by considering the origin of the term, by describing the term, by giving the synonym of the term, or by citing an example that will represent the term. So classification of nominal definition or nominal definition by synonym. It is done by giving a word equivalent to the term. Okay, so yun. So you're trying to define it by trying to give synonyms or words that are equivalent, same with the term. Like being kind is being benevolent, no? Synonym, no? You're trying to look on the thesaural meaning of it, of the word. Nominal definition by example, it is done by citing anything that will represent the term. Like yung kanina, yung chicken, ostrich, diba? Yun yung mga sample ng birds. So our chief executive is Benigno Simeon Aquino III. So in this example, no, you're citing anything that will represent it. So sino ba yung president? Our president is Rodrigo Roa Duterte. So that term or that word which is Rodrigo Roa Duterte is an example of the word that you are trying to define, which is president. Let's go to real definition. A definition which declares something about the term. This kind of definition serves to explain about the nature and to distinguish it from other terms. Okay? So, excuse me. Ayun. So, classification of real definitions by genus and specific difference. So, a definition that explains the essence of the term by considering the intelligible elements that make up the term. So, let's have example. A triangle is a figure with 3 sides. Okay? So, in this definition, you're trying to explain ano yung ibig sabihin ng term na yon by considering the other elements that make up it. Kung ano yung basis niya or paano siya nagawa. Like, for example of this one is, a triangle is a figure with 3 sides. Di ba yung triangle, meron talaga siyang 3 sides. So, yung figure dito is the genus, and 3 sides is the specific difference. Okay. Alright, take note of that, ha? Figure is the genus, and 3 sides here is the specific difference. So, that are also parts of the definition. Next is real definition by description. It is done by stating the genus of the term but altering the specific difference by giving the logical property which belongs to the term to be defined. So, alam naman natin ba yung genus? Ito yung parang animal, ito yung parang yung talagang classification niya talaga, general classification niya, like animals, birds, diba ganon? While yung specific difference, ito yung mga extensions of the definitions. Like, for example, a police officer is a man bestowed with authority to enforce a law. So, man here is the genus. Bestowed with authority to enforce a law is the logical property. So, it is an extended word, or it is the extension of the definition. It can be different, no, towards iba-iba yung magiging specific difference niya. Pwedeng iba rin, no, as compared towards this one. Real definition by cause. It is attained by stating the genus of the term but altering the specific difference by tracing its cause. A cause could be its purpose, function, reason for existence, makeup, or origin. Like, for example, a book is a written material made up of several pages and it is a source of information. So in this definition, written material is the genus. It is kind of classifying it into a much broader or general perspective for it to be more understandable. While for the extension naman niya, a source of information, okay, this is the cause or reason for existence. Now, therefore, this will be the specific difference. Okay, so real definition by cause, again, it can be attained by stating the genus of the term, but you are trying to alter the specific difference, no, by tracing the cause. So, anong cause niya? why does it happen or why does it exist? It could be the purpose, the function, the reason for existence. It can be different to other definitions as well. Extension siya. Let's go to other types of definition. When real definition is difficult or impossible to formulate, there are other types that may be used. Definition by property. Okay, let's go here. Gives the attributes of a thing instead of its true specific difference. So a property is quality which is rooted on the nature of a thing. Thus, if something has this definite nature, it also has this definite property or attribute. So, if may mga words na hindi masyado or mahirap talagang i-define, so again, pwede tayong kumuha or pwede nating i-state yung kanyang property. So, a property again, a quality which is rooted on the nature of that thing we're trying to define. Example, man may be defined on the basis of property or attributes as an animal capable of speech or an animal with religious sentiments. So again, you're trying to include here the property of the man, quality which is rooted on the nature of the thing. So you're trying to attribute the nature of the man. Definition by logical accident. So if mahirap intindihin or if mahirap i-define yung man or yung word, so logical accident can also occur. Okay? Gives an attribute of a thing which may or may not be present in that thing but may be expected of it owing to its nature. Like, for example, man is capable of education or capable of a wise decision is the defining him by logical property. So, we cannot say na man is logical. Pwede yun, but we can also say na man is capable of education. Hence, we're trying to define it more, yung logical characteristic or property ng man, yung nature niya, or capable of a wise decision. So, because of this words, of these propositions, pwede natin tong ma-classify or ma-represent yung pagiging logical ng isang tao. Clear ba yon? Okay, capable of education or capable of a wise decision. This can represent logic, the logical features of the man or yung pagiging rational niya. Okay, logical or rational. Next one, definition by cause. Gives the factors that contribute to the constitution of a thing as such. So there are 4 causes that may be cited: final, efficient, material, and formal. These are the 4 causes, wait. Gives the factors that contributes to the constitution of a thing as such. So let's try to discuss this later on, Definition by final cause, states the purpose of a thing. Ano ba yung gamit niya? Like thermometer may be defined as an instrument measuring body temperature. Watch is a mechanical device for telling time. So we're trying to look on the final cause. Why does it exist on the first place? So this is the final cause, Next one is definition by efficient cause. Okay, this states that the origin of or factor that produced the thing defined. So man may be said to be a creature made by God. So you're trying to look into the origin or factor, bakit meron or bakit nag-i-exist yung word na yon. Like for example, chair, an artifact made by a carpenter. So dito nang galing yung chair. Okay. So we are trying to look into bakit may existence yung bagay na yun. Why does it exist in the first place? Who created it? Parang ganon. Definition by efficient cause. Definition by material cause states the stuff or material from which the thing is made. Example, nipa hut is a structure made of nipa and bamboo. So, in this example here, No, we're trying to state the stuff or material kung saan or paano siya ginawa. Pencil is a writing instrument made of lead or charcoal enclosed in a slender piece of tube. So we're trying to look into the source kung paano nagawa yung bagay na yun. Definition by formal cause states the form or constitutive element that makes up a thing. What is it or what it is, no? Example here is a man may be defined as an animal with rational soul. So there is a constitutive element na nagde-define yung word, like ng man. A car, a motorized vehicle for transport. Alright, let's go to the rules for a good definition. Following the rules identified by logicians for constructive good definitions are important for us to make a more rational, a more logical, a more understandable definitions of words or of terms. Avoid circular definitions. Rule number 1. A circular definitions usually repeats the defined word in the definition. So parang paulit-ulit siya, no? Example here, a cookbook. A book used to cook. Okay, parang paulit-ulit siya. Parang you're just going around the circles, no? It is not very informative. You don't get a definition from it because you're just playing with words. High unemployment as a great many people out of work. Parang ganon. High unemployment as a great many people out of work. So you should need to make use of the specific difference and the genus, no? Para mas maging concrete yung definition ninyo and hindi siya yung you're just going around the circles. Avoid too broad, no, or inclusive definitions. The definition is unduly broad. It will cover too much, failing the rule out of things that are extraneous. So try not to have a broad definition. Like for example, book as rectangular object is too broad since there are many rectangular objects besides books. Diba? So try to make a more defined, not only specifying the properties, but you also define the actual function, source. Okay, just go with the different properties of the word. Avoid too narrow. This is very exclusive. Sometimes we can define words that can be very exclusive, no? If the definition is too narrow, it will cover too little, excluding things that should be included in the term. Okay, so kailangan we should try to balance things out. Hindi naman yung sobrang exclusive siya. Example dito is human beings as an intelligent, self-aware tool making language using animal with emotions, 5 sense movement, and moral and religious sensibilities. So very narrow to understand this definition. Napakalawak niya. By being too detailed, such definition would exclude the blind, deaf, and retarded, paralyzed or in coma, fetuses and babies, etc. So talagang pag nabasa ng tao to, yung normal individual, not a wordsmith, no? Parang malito siya. Ano ba yung kinaklasify niya? Napakalawak naman. Okay, parang it doesn't make sense anymore for an ordinary person. Avoid vague, obscure, or metaphorical language. Rule number 4. A definition should not use vague, obscure, or metaphorical language, the 3 most common problems of definition. So it should be clear, it should have clarity in order for one to be a good definition of the concept or of a term. Rule number 4, same also. A vague definition is unclear because it does not give any precise criterion for membership of the concept. For example, maturity defined as the stage of the psychological development in which a person becomes well-adjusted. The word here, well-adjusted, it quite be faulty, no? Because it is vague. What does well-adjusted mean? It is not clear who belongs in the class of well-adjusted people and who does not. So why do you include well-adjusted here? Because it can mean different things towards different people. Well-adjusted in work, well-adjusted in life or in love life or in relationships or in school, in study. So maraming pwedeng i-connote sa meaning na well-adjusted talaga. So hindi masyadong nagiging klaro yun. Rule number 4, same also. An obscure definition is unclear because it uses abstract or technical language that is more difficult to understand than the concept itself. So, it can be unclear, no? If we use these kinds of definition. Example, death, defined as the cessation of one's participation in finitude. The problem in this definition, meron siyang clear meaning, but only in a specialized context. Okay, philosophical theory about human life and after death. So if a normal individual will read this, he might feel or he might think vaguely about this definition of this, no? Maging quite vague yung pagkaka-understand ng tao nito. Sobrang technical ng language, difficult to understand. So again, importante na balance yung words na gagamitin natin in defining a term or a word. Metaphorical definition naman is unclear rin because it does not give the literal meaning of the concept but only an analogy that requires interpretation. It generally uses figurative or emotive language that adds to the ambiguity. Okay, so example naman dito is knowledge as antidote to fear. Look at this definitions, no? Friendship as a sheltering tree. Very metaphorical siya. It's quite unclear because you don't really know the meaning of it, the literal meaning of it, of the concept you are trying to define. Holy Spirit, sexy. These are fanciful meanings but are not instructive kapag on a normal conversation. You get the point? It's quite metaphorical in nature. Avoid loaded definitions. Rule number 5. Sometimes definitions are used for persuasive purposes and are charged with positive or negative emotions. In such cases, they are considered loaded. A loaded definition has an attitude, it expresses a value, judgment, and is not just a neutral description of conventional meaning. Okay, so kapag sobrang loaded yung nagiging definition niya, no, it is not good. Hindi siya magiging magandang definition. It always presents a point of view and displays feelings about the subject of the definition, no? Favorable or unfavorable laudatory, caustic, amused, or cynical. So parang you're just trying to create bunch of words and expressions, but at the end of the day, if you're just trying to read it, it will be like, does it make sense, this definition? Or you can just simplify it to become it more better and understandable. Example, an intellectual is someone who knows everything except how to make money. A professor is someone who professes that someone else suffer. An atheist is someone who thinks that God is deaf. Okay, those are some examples of loaded definitions. Again, no, it has an attitude, it expresses a value judgment, and is not just a neutral description of the conventional meaning. Also yun, no, hindi niya na-represent yung neutral description or definition ng word na yun. Hence, nagbibigay siya ng other alternative sa word or dun sa concept that a person tries to define. Diba? Like example, a professor is someone who professes that someone else suffers. So this is not a good definition at all, no? Because it doesn't really quantify. It does not really qualify that all professors are like this. An intellectual is someone who knows everything except how to make money. So this is not really a good definition because not everyone is like this. An atheist is someone who thinks that God is dead. This is not a good definition because not atheists are like this. Clear? Rule number 6, avoid negative terms. A definition should not use negative terms unnecessarily. So, again, try to create or use words that are appropriate only towards the terms. Towards the concepts, no? Good is not bad. This would not give a satisfactory definition since it does not provide much about what good actually is. No? In general, negative definition should be avoided because a definition should state what a thing is and not what it is not. No? So you should try to be more general about these kinds of things and not only by your own point of view. You're trying to look into a more general perspective that can represent the word or that concept. Hence, you should avoid bias, no? Trying to look into only white and black cases or what they call the meanings, no? Rule number 7, state the essential attributes. A definition should present the essential attributes of the concept being defined. No? Concepts often have many attributes in common. Some are relatively superficial, while some are essential. So there are attributes or there are parts of the definition that might be included, but also there should be there are cases where some parts of the definition hindi na siya kailangan or it's not really necessary to make it a good definition. Hence, parang sinisira niya yung definition na yon. So you just stick with the essential properties and attributes that should be connotated on the definition. Example here is a beating heart defined as the organ that goes lub 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 lub, no? Lub lub. Lub-lub. So lub-lub is a superficial trait. It is merely a byproduct of the heart's essential function, which is to circulate blood. Hence, if we can include this is not a good definition. The essential function explains many of the other properties of the heart, the way it beats, the way it is hooked up to the veins and arteries, and sound it makes. So, ayun. So, you should look into a better way of defining the words through the properties, the attributes of it. And that's all the end of this lesson of this presentation. I hope you've learned something. Please try to browse this again. I know masyadong loaded, masyadong maraming terms, but please study nyo talaga siya, no? Isa-isahin nyo para mas maintindihan ninyo, and please don't hesitate to send me questions if you have some clarifications about this lesson. Thank you so much for listening, guys, and ayun, God bless you all.